Today is a really big day in the world of Sonic. It's the release of Sonic X Shadow Generations, a remaster of the original Sonic Generations with an added campaign for Mr. Edgelord Shadow the Hedgehog. So of course Chowlug, which by the way is the largest LEGO Sonic fan group in the world now, has officially decided to make LEGO builds for Generations. This actually makes it our first ever tie-in project. Oh yeah, and to all my teachers wondering why my homework hasn't been the best lately, it's because I've been too busy doing this. So, sorry, but duty calls. But with all that out of the way, let's get started. First, we're gonna tackle Sonic's side, with drumroll please, Green Hill Zone. Yeah, I know the level isn't looked upon with the highest regards anymore due to how overused it's been, but for an anniversary game, this just makes the most sense. I started by building this checkerboard dirt pattern using reddish brown and dark orange. To achieve this look, I used bricks and tiles. The bricks stacked normally, and the tiles being on their sides using brackets to connect them, ultimately giving it this nice flush look. Green Hills is also known for its iconic striped grass. To replicate this, I greebled some green and I believe lime green parts together. I then set this segment of the build aside. Next, I needed to grab a 32 by 16 base plate, and I made a black border, ignoring the back. Then I outlined where I wanted the land and the water to go. For the water, I grabbed a ton of standard blue bricks, a few brackets, and some snot bricks to create this blue water effect using bricks laid on their side. I made sure to leave this hole so that I could insert a turntable part and attach the segment from earlier. For the land, I added a sandy beach and another patch of striped grass. Then I needed to add another raised segment, but I realized that I did not have enough dark orange. This is where I had the idea to use light nougat. I think that's what it's called at least. This is going to represent the color change that Green Hills had. You'll notice that in the classic games, the color is dark orange, while in the modern games, they transitioned to a lighter color. Funnily enough, LEGO even did this, based on their idea set, moving on to their modern stuff. So I settled on one side being representative of classic and the other representative of modern. To finish off, I added both classic Sonic on one side and modern on the other. Then I added some rings, a badnik which I stole from a LEGO set, as well as this tree which I also stole from a LEGO set. And then for the final detail, a totem pole. Here's a quick look at everything we've got so far before we move on to Shadow's side. Okay, Editor Me, cue the rock and roll, because it's time for Shadow the Hedgehog. While Sonic is on his fun adventure with his younger self, Shadow is fighting his greatest nightmares. His greatest enemy, Black Doom, is messing with his head. Shadow is once again having to confront his past, which, might I remind you, is very, very dark. Oh yeah, and also, he has wings now! For the build, I'm recreating the Generations version of Radical Highway. It's almost like I accidentally hinted at this in my last Sonic video. In this version, the whole place basically becomes a kaleidoscope, with buildings in odd shapes, and streetlights doubling and warping. To start, I attached another 32 by 16 base plate to the hinge, and then built another black border. I used Technic parts to create this really nice looking road, and added red guardrails. Also made sure to put this road at an angle not connected to anything. Behind the road, I added a big sign with this purple arrow on it. and also these warping streetlights. In addition, while I was digging around looking for some LEGO parts in an old bin that's from the late 90s to the early 2000s, I found these mini skyscraper parts, which I believe are from the old Studio line. Naturally, I had to include these. For the next part, I did the exact same technique I did with the water, except this time with gray parts. I made sure to include some snot and headlight bricks for later. The next thing I had to do was build this building, which, yeah, I discovered that trying to bend rectangles and square objects in LEGO is really annoying. I tried multiple techniques to get this skyscraper to bend, but ultimately settled on mixel joints. The skyscraper itself is a pretty easy construction. Nothing really much to say about it. And to add the final touches to Shadow's side, I added, first of all, this gun wing, and second, Doom's Eye, which is basically the Sauron of Sonic. I did want to take inspiration from Oz Bricks, who used a crab for the eye on Doom's Eye. Unfortunately, I couldn't find my crab, so Oz, your designs are safe. For now. But with all that said, let's take one good cinematic look. Oh yeah, one more thing I forgot to mention is that you can also put Shadow with his wings here. Thought that would be cool. But that's gonna be all for this episode. If you enjoyed this video, share it with a friend and join my Discord server. And also, we're pretty close to hitting 3,000 subscribers, and I want to hit that before the end of the year. Anyway, later guys!